Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm DT06 Toys, and in this video, I'll be reviewing the first S.H.Figuarts Jujutsu Kaisen figure, Yuji Itadori. Prior to this figure, my only experience with S.H.Figuarts so far is limited to just its Dragon Ball figures. So I'm really excited to get one from this new line. So without further ado, let's get right into the review. So, for aesthetics, I would have to say that Yuji is a very well proportionate figure. He looks a lot like his anime counterpart, so I'm really glad with that. Anyway, going from top to bottom, his hair sculpt looks very nice, all the way from the front to the back. You could even see some hairline going on at the back here, which was not necessary, but it's a nice detail. I would say, however, while I think that his hair color is pretty accurate to the anime, I think it would have been more accurate if it was a slightly lighter shade. But that's just what I think. Anyway, his face is very detailed. I love what they did to the face. You can see the eyes. You can see Sukuna's eyes at the bottom. It's very detailed. And his neck is pretty long, but most of it is covered by his hoodie anyway. So you definitely won't notice it in most poses. Speaking of, his hoodie, very well sculpted, from the front to the back. And as you can see, this metallic gold pins here, very nice detail. And his top, it's a hard plastic. And you can also see another metallic gold pin here. I don't think you can notice, but mine does have a bit of paint bleed, but that's just on my copy, so it's unfortunate on my end. It's not very noticeable though. The bottom half is a soft plastic, which will come into play later. His fists, I was worried his fists were a little too big when I saw his pictures online and on social media, but after having it in person, it's pretty well proportionate to the rest of his body. Unless you put it up to his face. It looks pretty big there. His legs are sculpted nicely as well, from top to bottom, and his shoes are very well detailed. I mean, look at that. The colors, the shoelace, it's all very detailed. Props to Tamashii for that. Now, this figure doesn't really have shading throughout his body, but that's alright because he is just wearing a uniform, so I don't think shading will have done much difference here. So in terms of scale, here he is right next to Goku. And here he is right next to Jiren. As you can see, Goku is quite a bit shorter than Yuji, which shouldn't be the case because Yuji is 173 centimeters, whereas Goku is 175. So technically Goku is supposed to be slightly taller here, but well, when it comes to scale, not everything is always accurate, so it is what it is. So Yuji comes with a good batch of accessories, including 4 faceplates, 3 pairs of hands, 1 extra hand, a hairpiece, and 2 effect parts. He comes with a neutral face, a sideways looking face, a shouting face, and a Sukuna face with the accompanying hairpiece, which I think is a nice bonus because if anything, Sukuna should come as his own figure, but to get him as a faceplate first feels like a nice preview of what's to come. Now the hairpiece does look good in both angles, but if you look at it directly from the top, it does start to look out of place. So there's that. You can also use the alternate hairpiece for the other faceplates, and it looks just as good. Now these faceplates look good, but instead of a sideways looking face, I think we should have gotten a smiling face, because Yuji was a pretty happy-go-lucky guy in the anime, so I think we should have gotten a face that reflects that. Moving on, he comes with a pair of fists, a pair of expressive hands, a pair of relaxed hands, and of course, a hand with Sukuna's mouth on it. Very nicely detailed, by the way. His effect pieces are for his Divergent Fist attack, which comes pretty early on in the anime. So, to put them on, you just have to slot them into his fists, just like that. It does look pretty good, pretty clean, and I'm glad it came with it. Looks good. So, for articulation, Yuji can move up about that much. He can look down about that much. Literally bury his mouth in his hoodie here. He can look left, right, side to side. Really a lot of range of movement here, thanks to his long neck. His arm is on a socket, which you can pull out for more range of movement, and is also on a butterfly joint. His arm can do a full rotation and is also double jointed. His wrist can move up and down, as it is a ball peg. And this red sleeve here is movable, so there's that. For ab crunch, he can bend backwards quite far, though if you push it a bit too much it might have a gap here, but depending on how you angle it, it's really not that bad. He can't lean forward as well, and if you try to push it too much, as you can see, this part here might start to pop out a bit, so be careful of that. His body can do side to side, and he can rotate as well. He actually can do a full rotation, like all the way to the back, but I don't recommend doing that. His waist can do a full rotation. Also has some side to side, and he can kick up pretty high. He has a bit more leeway thanks to this soft plastic here, but he can't really kick back because of how his butt is designed here. He can kick to the side quite far as well. He has thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and his foot can do a full rotation, has a toe hinge, and has a pretty generous ankle pivot. So for my final thoughts, I think that this was an excellent first release by Tamashii. If you're a fan of the anime, I can't recommend this figure enough. He's a really good figure, with my only complaint being that he didn't come with a happy faceplate. It's as if Tamashii put a lot of care and effort into making sure this was a good first release, and they definitely delivered. From what I've read online, it seems that both Yuji and Gojo are already doing reissues, so that's a huge sign that the line is doing very well with just these two releases. The reissues will be released in July, from what I've read online, so if you haven't got one yet, you'll be able to get it soon. And that is it for this review. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you all for the next one.